Imagine walking down a street in a community that once thrived. The air feels heavy, the kind of oppressive weight that comes from broken dreams and fractured lives. On a forgotten corner, someone you might have once known is hunched over, lost to themselves, their eyes darting as if searching for a piece of their soul that vanished long ago. Even if you've never been touched by addiction personally, you've likely seen its shadow, perhaps a friend, a family member, or a estuary splashed across the news. Addiction is a silent hurricane, tearing through lives and communities without discrimination. In North America, the opioid crisis has reached devastating levels. Entire towns have been gutted, not just by the drugs themselves, but by the chain reaction they ignite. Rising crime, overburdened healthcare systems, and the unraveling of families. While it might seem like this tragedy belongs to a distant demographic or geography, the truth is far more unsettling. It spares no one. Other countries might face different challenges, but addiction, in its many forms, knows no borders. The real question is, where do we even start? Do we attack the drugs themselves, dig into the root causes of dependency, or address the societal wreckage left in its wake? This isn't a battle fought in isolation. Addiction is a community issue, weaving itself into the fabric of neighborhoods, schools, and homes. Places once deemed safe become hunting grounds for drug-related crimes, and the emotional toll on families is staggering. Mothers, fathers, children, no one is immune. For those on the outside, watching someone they love spiral into addiction is a unique kind of torment. The guilt of walking away, even when it's necessary for self-preservation, can be unbearable. Does loving someone mean you must accept their addiction? Where do we draw the line between unconditional love and self-protection? These are not easy questions, and the answers often lie in painful, personal choices. Addiction doesn't just spring out of nowhere. For some, it starts as a small misstep, a painkiller prescribed too easily, a few nights of partying that spiral out of control. For others, the odds were stacked against them from the start. Studies reveal that genetics play a significant role in addiction. Some are simply more predisposed, with genetic variations influencing how their brains respond to substances and impulsive behaviors. Combine that with environmental factors, a traumatic childhood, abuse, neglect, and the risk multiplies. Mental health disorders like depression, anxiety, and PTSD further increase vulnerability. Add to this the developmental stage at which someone is exposed, and you begin to see a web of risk factors forming long before the first pill is swallowed or needle injected. Take Bellington, a small town in Ohio, as a case study. With a population of 10,000, it saw 10% of its residents consumed by opioid addiction at one point. Jobs disappeared, homelessness surged, and the once vibrant main street turned into a desolate stretch of despair. Yet, the people of Bellington chose not to turn their backs. They understood that their survival depended on helping those most affected. The Bellington Recovery Alliance emerged as a grassroots initiative driven by the community. At its heart was Hope Haven, a recovery center offering counseling, peer support, and job training. In just a few years, hundreds made progress toward recovery, with 75% securing stable jobs. This wasn't just a win for the individuals, it was a lifeline for the entire community. What Bellington achieved is rare but vital. Once someone loses their home, the path to rebuilding is steep. Without an address, finding a job becomes nearly impossible, and government assistance remains out of reach for many. Addiction doesn't just erode individual lives. It erases the support structures that hold communities together. In larger cities, the crisis is easier to ignore. It gets lost in the noise, the sheer scale of urban life muffling the cries for help. But the problem is no less dire. What Bellington teaches us is that waiting for policymakers to solve this isn't an option. Governments often move too slowly, and addiction doesn't wait. Collaboration is key. In Bellington, local doctors joined forces with the Recovery Alliance, adopting responsible prescribing practices. While it's fair to hold medical professionals accountable for their role in the opioid crisis, vilifying them isn't the answer. When doctors and communities work together, the results speak for themselves. The opioid crisis is a shared burden. Even if you've never struggled with addiction or known someone who has, the RIP-PLE effects touch us all. Crime, strained public services, and fractured communities don't exist in a vacuum. This isn't about placing blame. It's about acknowledging our interconnectedness. As individuals, we might feel powerless in the face of such a massive issue, but change starts small. Whether it's supporting local initiatives, advocating for better healthcare policies, or simply educating ourselves, every action counts. We owe it to one another to confront this crisis with empathy and resolve. This is more than a fight against addiction. It's a fight for humanity, for dignity, and for the bonds that hold us together. And as we step into this battle, let's remember that healing begins when we refuse to look away.